We are so excited. So Meredith, why don't you take it away?
You got it. All right, ready? Okay, so what we're doing today is having a conversation around future-proofing your career. Frankly, I don't care if you become a grant writer or you become anything else you want in the future. Having these skills are really going to be fundamental. So we're going to be talking about what AI skills we need to build in 2025 so we're not left behind professionally, but also having a really good time. So if you're a nonprofit grant writer or you're a consultant, whether you've tinkered with AI or you're already using it daily in your workflow, or if you don't want to just fall behind with AI and you want to make sure that you're, staying on step, this is what we're going to be covering today. Oh, you're going to let me screen share? There we go. So we're going to be covering how to go pro using AI in 5 weeks. I said 30 days originally, but actually we need an extra week in the 4 skills you've got to learn this year. So plus you're going to get to meet your AI besties. They're so sweet. I wonder why I can't click. Actually, if you maybe don't make me the host, I can't, I don't want to be host because I can't, it keeps like making it so I can't use my clicker because it's asking me to let people in.
Done. Fixed.
Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. Okay, so Chris, is he here? Chris Patuli? He should be. Okay, right on. Chris, where are you? You can unmute yourself so we can see you. It's this guy.
Hello.
Hey guys, this is the smarty pants behind this operation. So Chris and I met at this crazy mastermind, I guess close to 2 years ago. And we are sitting at dinner and he tells me, yeah, I'm actually trying to use AI to write grant applications, but he'd never written a grant before and he didn't work with any nonprofits previously and he was totally doing it. So I was like, man, we got to talk. I gave him a copy of my book. And a month later, we're like, hey, let's work together on what you're doing and build Unicorn Copilot. It was software built for grant writers to use AI to do. We focused on the upfront part of the grant writer workflow. We were actually trying to solve the problem of finding more great clients and that project planning and funding strategy phase. And then phase 2 was going to get into grant writing. So that is how Unicorn Copilot was born. Do I have anyone here that actually demoed it and used it? Yeah. Thanks, guys, for the people that read the book. That's rad. Yeah, Caroline was, Annalisa, yeah, Annalisa used it a ton, Francine, everything. It was great. So, but at the same time, as we were building that, Chris and his team were using AI to write grant applications and they were crushing it. They had a 72% win rate. They got to the point where they were writing 40 complex grants with just 2 grant writers per month. They got to the point that 100+ hour applications, those really tough federal grants, were only taking 4 hours, which is almost comprehensible. And they made 750K in their first year with no prior experience, maintaining a 70% profit on average per grant. So if you don't read those 4 stats and think to yourself like, oh my gosh, yes, a grant writer is under threat right now. And how does that affect us? Well, we had the same question. I was like, you need to come down and come to Oregon. We're gathering our 5% club. We're going to be talking. This is the group that's making 100K or more per year in business. And I was like, we want you to spill the tea. And Chris does. He's like me. We're really believe in being highly transparent. And so he shared exactly what he was doing, like running Facebook ads to dairy farmers in the Saskatchewan and helping them write for-profit grants and killing it. And so really what we realized was, man, what you're doing in Canada needs to come stateside. And so we decided, hey, I think we need to spin up a consulting agency and be the largest one that's ever been around. Because A, we've got, 600 or so grant writers, and we've got, the expertise. We understand the US market. Like this could be really, really interesting. So we ended up putting out a call for hire within the collective. I had like 140 responses in 24 hours. It was brutal, but we selected 5 people to help us do market research on like which sector should we actually enter. And that was all rolling smoothly. And we decided, okay, we're going to roll out also the grant writing portion of that AI software in early August of 2024. So all the traffic lights looked green, everything looked good. And then they didn't. And here's what happened. And if you've attended my class, like the class we gave you in November or October last year, because we spilled the tea. But essentially a couple of things happened. Number one, they were writing grants for-profit businesses in Canada, and it's not the same as writing for nonprofits. And so it became clear that to make that software work, we were going to have to spend a lot of money and a lot of time to rework that for a US market use case. The second thing we discovered was there was sort of like a split on perspective. I loved the idea of like building the greatest consulting business that ever existed because that's what we show you how to do, make money writing grants. But the other half of the team wanted to build it out as a software. And I personally didn't want to compete with, I believe it, like Instrumental should own this space because they're already have the grant prospecting down tight, and they're also now doing a good job with grant management. So to have all three of those plus the AI tool internally means like they can be the software people. So then what happens to Unicorn Copilot? Well, really, we realized, you know what? Rest in peace, Unicorn Copilot. This was about Halloween last year, so this is where I grabbed that slide. And it was like good, basically like we're putting you to bed, we're retiring you. It was heartbreaking in many ways, but what ultimately why we did that was insight number one, which is that you do not need AI software specific current grant writers. Okay, and this is counter, and here's why. No one can compete with the budgets of OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Bard, Anthropic, you name it. These are open source tools, so like they can see what people are doing and innovating on and just like copy it, frankly. Most people are getting really frustrated when they're trying to use AI-specific grant writing software tools because they are lacking the foundational skills for how to use AI effectively in the first place. And then finally, they're charging a lot. I mean, Beta and Chris's team did as well because they were just finding like what really can the market support. And easily you're looking at tools that are $90 to $350 per month of an additional software bill when you can realistically get away with using the tools that already exist, whether that's Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, et cetera, and you're only spending 20 to 50 bucks a month. So it got to the point where all of a sudden too, I just was being inundated with requests for, hey, will you look at our software? And I love what Grantable's doing in the lower left. I mean, they've been around and doing this for forever, right? Like they were working on this before AI became mainstream. But when we were actually looking into partnering with them, I did not like that. I didn't feel like they were listening to their, like, they weren't grounded enough to me and listening to what their kind of client user needed. And I didn't like the direction their product was going. That was a long time ago, so I'm sure they've got that all worked out now. But regardless, like I would love to know if you've been hit with these targeted as grant writers in your ads, but this isn't even but a fraction of the number of basically people that even reaching out. This was an email I got on Friday, which to the guy that sent it to me, he might even be here. I think what he's doing could be interesting. He's doing more of like data analysis, but regardless, it was like everyone thinks that this is such a great thing because grant writing is such a good use case for AI. But at the end of the day, it's just adding this cost and package on top when really I want you to learn how to fish. Like that's my philosophy. I've come to it, which is that we are in the beginning of a whole new era professionally. You could be curious, you could be an early adopter in 2022 through 2024, but we're actually at a tipping point where, okay, using AI in a meaningful way in the workplace is a must-have. And why I can say that is that the adoption of AI has crossed that tipping point of the adoption curve where growth basically accelerates. We're at that 20 to 30% mark where basically it's no longer early adopters, it's mass adopters, and it becomes a necessity to have this skill, not an option. There's a couple other interesting stats I wanted to throw your way on this topic. So McKinsey survey, they study business. They found that 78% of organizations were utilizing AI in at least one business function, and that's up from 55% in 2024. If you think about that, that is a quantum leap in business. Like that is a huge, huge leap. I hate this stat, but the point is there. So basically, Nonprofit Pro published an article about how only 2% of nonprofits have fully integrated AI. And why I hate that stat is because no one can fully integrate it. It's a moving target. It's, developing so quickly. Like, I don't think you can say like, you've done it, you're integrated. But you get the point that still less than 50% are in the experimental phase, and that is lagging behind business. Next thing, organizations with annual budgets exceeding $1 million, nonprofits specifically, are adopting AI tools at nearly twice the rate of smaller nonprofits. So it doesn't take a rocket science to see what's going to happen downstream, that this is going to have a really big impact on the small nonprofits and the sector in general, if not getting caught up on adoption. So when I review grant narratives, I got some collective unicorn members here. They know my analogy. The way I like to think about problems when you're writing a grant narrative is we've got our 30,000 view, right? This is from the jumbo jet flying far above the sky. And then we want to zoom into the regional jet to see, hey, how is this issue of AI adoption affecting the region or the sector? And then finally, what's that perspective of the bush plane, which, if I live in Alaska, so we're bush plane family. How does this affect your career? Now that we've looked at the big picture, we're coming down into your picture, your life. So number one, It's very cool. You're at the very beginning of this. So the learning curve is only, frankly, going to get steeper. Don't let that be a something that scares you, but it's just like how awesome to be at this right now when we are. Two, mindset's everything. And y'all know we're mindset pros. Like we really believe in that. The fluency that you're going to develop in AI is influenced by your attitude. If we think that it sucks and it's evil, you're not going to really develop proficiency, right? Three, you are building lasting skills. So this is not about quick fixes. This is not about buying like 10 prompts that you need now. It's about understanding fundamentally how AI works and how to work with it so that you're best in class. Five, I believe this can be an amazing budget equalizer. So small teams, solo consultants, all of a sudden you can have a really, like you can build $1 million consulting business with a team of 2 or 3. You can be a small nonprofit playing ball with the big ones because you've got a lot of added capacity using AI tools. Now, this is not replacing the human element. We'll get to that in a second. And then I'd say 6, the final reason is once you start to really unlock, and those of you that are using this, I know that you could probably chime in. It just gets actually quite fun. You're like, this is amazing. Like you don't feel so alone. You've got a writing partner. And especially when you kind of train the tone of your chat GPT or whatever you're using to be just kind of a friend, like you feel like you've got a buddy. Okay, so are we on board with it is a good time from the jumbo jet perspective down to your own career to go pro using AI? Yes, in the chat, if so. And then that allows me to drink a little bit of coffee and water. Blow it up. My gosh. This is water, even though it looks like champagne. You guys, I still just like to drink in it. Makes me feel celebratory. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Cool. All right, you ready? Here are the 4 skills. Get ready to write and take notes because I've got a lot to cover. Number 1, we've got to know how to build quality custom GPTs on any platform. You need to know how to write quality prompts. 3, you need to be able to provide your AIs with high quality context. And 4, this is sort of the go pro move, understanding how to start building automations into your workflow efficiency. I'm going to break each down now. So don't freak out if you felt like I didn't write those down. So number 1, who has built a custom GPT before? Say me or not yet. Me or not yet, me or not yet. I'm blowing up chat so I can see this. Okay, I'm feeling like this is so many. Oops, we got somebody drawing on the screen. I wonder why that is even a thing. Clear. So I feel like a little bit more not yets than yeses. Okay, this is exciting. Cool. All right. I know I'm drawing on the screen. Why does Zoom even do that? Okay. Sweet. Well, you're not yet will not be, you could build it by the end of today. So here's the good news. So what is it? A custom GPT is a personalized AI that's tailored for a very specific use case. So it comes with custom instructions. You've got specialized knowledge or tools. This is really valuable. And then of course it has a unique name. So the good news is it's not that hard to build a custom GPT, really. The bad news is wowie maui is it in the details. So it makes all of the difference in the world. And the example I'm going to give you is I built this custom GPT called Nora Writes. This is kind of a funny thing, but my mom and dad were between naming me Meredith and Nora, and they did not choose Nora, but I like the name, so I just kind of use Nora at any opportunity. So Nora Writes was going to be my copy editor. And so I took like 70 emails that I'd had written and I put it into a single Google Doc and I uploaded that as my knowledge file thinking, great, like look at all these great emails on my voice and my tone and how I like things. And then I kept feeling like it was only pulling from like the top 2 or 3 emails, like it wasn't reading the whole doc. And I couldn't understand what was going on until I got more training in how to build a quality custom GPT. And I realized I had a formatting problem so that the document really could not be read in a meaningful way. So that's why if you want to be serious about this, you got to know how to build quality custom GPTs. Number 1, it allows you to build a contained training center for each client or your nonprofit. 2, it solves that problem everyone's been annoyed with, which is like the problem of AI forgetting things, right? This is how you dodge paying for expensive AI grant writing software. And it's just how you build your squad of besties that are very specialized in what they do. Okay, so yes, and I know the pictures are so good. These are from our retreat. I see that Anna's commenting on it. I know, they were great. Okay, ready? So number 2, how to write quality prompts. Okay, just me? Or does the word prompt engineering sound intimidating? Yes, me too, or nah? I want to know. Okay, we got some, yeah, I love my confidence of my nah people, but I personally was like, this sounds like something you have to go back to college for. And I barely got out of like pre-calculus as a senior with freshmen having to coach me through it. So like I'm doomed, right? So I'm glad that not all of you find it intimidating. Unicorns can do everything. That's the attitude. Actually, it's more unicorns saying no. So I think that's a good sign that we've actually just moved you through the fear on this. At a high level, what's a prompt? It's instructions. So when you learn how to speak through high quality prompts, you get better results. So that's fundamentally what it is and why it matters. And I know you guys know this, but I'm going to just say it again. AI models are language prediction machines. They're not thinking yet anyway about how to respond. They're using patterns in language to guess the next thing to say. So if we give them vague or generic prompts, we often get vague or generic answers. So here's an example of, I guess this is my theory on why I think prompt engineering sounds hardcore. So a bad prompt would be on the left side, act like a grant writer, use this attachment, write a power prospectus, write like me. Versus on the right-hand side, I'm like really delineating what means what. So what's the role? You're acting like a grant writer. What's the task? Writing a power prospectus. Okay, what's a good example of a killer power prospectus? And this is language we use in the collective. What's the context? What are my instructions? And what's going on here in the way that that's formatted is this tactic called using better delimiters. So delimiters can be markdowns like the hashtag or number sign, depending on your age, and XML tags, which is like the caret, role. And that's what, if like I used to actually code our website until they kicked me out. But that's literally like a basic HTML. So it's so much simpler than it looks, but it does make the difference of how the language AI can actually read what you're asking. So why you have to have an excellent understanding of prompting is that if you've ever been frustrated with the results AI gave you and you want to blame the AI, actually there's chances that you gave bad instructions. So if we're having to go back and say, hey, don't do this and don't do that, well, that's actually a sign that we didn't do our job up front. So there are 6 components that you want to be thinking about when you're thinking about prompting. Number 1, role. Define the role of who the AI is. 2, what's the task that you want them to do? 3, what is the context? Do they need to know about this nonprofit, about the grant, etc.? What's the format that you want it? Are we talking a 2,000 word blog? Or are we talking about a paragraph? Examples of what good looks like and instructions. You don't need to provide all 6 every single time you're putting in a prompt, but you need at minimum a task. So that's an important nugget for really breaking free of having mediocre results to having some great results. And I have to say that if there's one thing I teach you, I would like it to be how to write stellar prompts. So that means that you can be a prompt engineer. Are we good with this? Catching up. Yay. Glad we're good. Yeah, it's really empowering. It's really fun. Just unlocks a whole new world. Cool. Okay, so let's move to the third piece. So how do you provide your AIs with you got to learn how to provide them with high quality context. What's context? So context is background information the AI needs to understand who you are, what you're doing, why it matters. Without context, your AIs are guessing. So how we provide context is in 3 ways. We can either do it in the prompt directly, like uploading it can be right in the instructions of the prompt. We can link a website and it can go scan the website, or we can upload documents, whether that's in a custom GPT or right into the prompt. So those are the 3 ways that we can give context. Now, if you're a grant writer, I don't know anyone who hasn't experienced this, you guys. How many times have you thought that an organization was ready to go and then they weren't? They think they're grant ready and they're not, or they have no idea on budget, which impacts everything else, or there's no logic model, no game plan, right? So what is a poor grant writing unicorn to do, right? Well, cue the grant prep lab. So this is where you can take what you've already learned inside the grant writing collective or externally to get grant ready. And the key tool that we use to gauge readiness is completing a project planning toolkit. So if you can complete a project planning toolkit in really good form, top to bottom, that is the bones of any grant application. And essentially, this is where you're very quickly understanding, hey, and if you want, let's just go do it real quick. You want to go see it in real time? Yeah, I'm getting thumbs ups. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'm in my chat GPT. I'm going to go over to Penny, the project manager. She's who I want to work with on this because she's already trained like a baller in the project planning toolkit. I need to go I actually typed out my prompt just so I wouldn't have to do it while we're on the phone. So here it is. So my goal is to create a project planning toolkit. Hold on. Didn't give you context. Okay, we'll try that again. So I need to give, let's see, context. So I'm going to upload this call transcript. This would be like when you have a kickoff call, you know what questions you're going through to understand where they're at. So I'm uploading that for context. My goal is to create a project planning toolkit. The context is please read the transcript attached. And the task is to write a first draft in Canvas. And Canvas is like operating in sort of like a Google Doc within ChatGPT. But you could do this in Claude, you could do this in Gemini, etc. This is just where I'm operating out of. So here it goes. This was a project that Chris actually worked with. He helped them get grant funding. And so it's doing its thinking. Let's see. Hopefully it is, as we're all live. Is there a reason you recommend doing it in Canvas instead of full text? Caroline, great question. I personally, I wonder why we're not really going. Feels like we're not even thinking. I personally prefer it. Can you try that again? I personally prefer it because you can edit smaller sections without it having to rewrite the entire thing top to bottom. But I do often when I'm in Canvas, I actually will have the chat on the left-hand side if I want to like workshop something. And I'll give you an example of that right now. But let's have a look at the project planning toolkit. So here's the overview. Here's the project summary. What are the problems addressed? The impact, objectives. It's doing its thing. I mean, if I had to sit down and write this, you guys, it would take me a lot longer than it's taking old Penny to whip this up because she's a boss of a project manager. Imagine Alex in your pocket. Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll let that keep doing its thing. It's almost there. And then I want to show you how I would, is this a paid version? Yes, it is a paid version. But guys, $20 a month, it's ridiculous. It's so much value. So, all right, so that's like it's a decent start, but it's really more to me of like an outline. And I would like to really break out, let's say, you know me, I like to work on the problems addressed. So what I can do is highlight, you're gonna give me issues right now because I'm live. And I can ask right inside, like, can we please expand on this with stronger like economic data at the national and global level? I don't know, just see what it comes up with. And so it's getting to like workshop on the left-hand side. I believe it will. We'll see. Of course, I'm live and we're going. But what I like about this is that I can work on just the section I want to versus having to rewrite the whole thing because that can get a little bit slow. So you can see how, you know, this can be pretty helpful for just like cranking out something and then bringing it back to your organization and saying, hey, did I understand what you meant? So I'm going to just, in the interest of time, ask another question of, you know, how would you strengthen this, you know, project planning toolkit? Where are we weak? And that's one of my favorite questions because then I can, you know, I can just integrate the changes that they recommend right off the bat. And there's been some really good one. Yeah, what Nancy suggested is exactly it. Are there gaps? And then I saw a really good question about, do you double check the data? Do you have fact check everything? I mean, I guess I haven't, we need Chris to probably jump in. Like what I would often do is go and use Perplexity or Riley the researcher, which is more like just a more dedicated research tool. So we're not like for sure not making things up because that's rooted in like definitely it's finding it on the internet. And then I would integrate that. But yeah, I mean, you're going to double check your work, but it's giving you a really good starting point. And I always also make sure in the instructions of Project Planning Toolkit or in the instructions are like, do not make up answers. If you don't know something, just call it out and tell us that you're looking for it. So anyway, here are the areas to strengthen: missing a business model decision, lack of revenue projections, the operational strategy is thin, true, the market demand evidence is weak, and all of that. So I could literally say like, yes, please, that's great. Like let's work on the logic model change and integrate that now. So I can just keep going back and forth until we get this gorgeous project planning toolkit. And then I can export that and use that as a great starting point. Copying it here, moving it into a Google Doc. Is everyone tracking how this works? I'll show you well, I got to keep moving. We got so much to cover, but it's pretty amazing what you can do. I mean, it's absolutely game changing. for just cranking out these like big project planning pieces that can take you a lot of time and you're often not really well compensated for because people think grant writers just write the grants and don't think about all that goes into actually being grant ready. Okay, so moving on, that brings us to our fourth skill, which is building AI automations for workflow efficiency. So I want you to think of your AI journey as a three-step process. At first, you're going to be the weekend warrior. You're playing around with it. Sometimes you feel like it's taking longer than just doing things manually, but you're kind of getting those breakthroughs and it's fueling your motivation to keep going. Then we become the Soonicorn, right? We're going pro. You're no longer doing boring work daily. If you're a consultant, you're really giving yourself bigger profit margins per grant. If you're in-house, you're genuinely buying time back and you're not as overworked and not filling that void. That's a big kicker. And then the final bit is going like Hall of Fame level, which is where you cannot imagine your life being without your AI team. You tell everyone around you how much AI has helped you. You're making investments. You're actually investing in learning this and adding more complex automations to streamline your workflow. So when I talk about the automations piece, this is not something you need to get into right away by any means, but I still want to introduce it to you so you know what's coming. Okay, what we've talked about so far, and this is something people get really hung up on, is not understanding the difference between augmentation and automation. So augmentation is AI working with you, like right next door, like a little, like I've got a second desk here, like there's a real human here and we're collaborating. So we're co-writing a proposal, you're suggesting edits, you're helping me with research, right? Where I'm still the expert and AI is just supercharging the process. Automation, of course, is when the AI is doing these tasks entirely for you. And we want to be thinking about setting up, and I'm going to show you some examples. Like this, for example, these are things that like aren't fun to do. So for example, you've got, we're auto adding deadlines to Google's calendar with reminders for key submission dates. Or we have, let's say we auto generate an email draft with the action items from a meeting summary. I just had a board meeting on Saturday and Fathom's summary was, I could just hit a button and it was sent directly out to everybody and it was extremely well done. That is an AI automation. Or let's say you're auto creating tasks right into Asana or Notion or whatever project management tool you like based on the follow-up steps that you had in your meeting notes. Like being an excellent project manager is what makes the difference between a good and great grant writer. But if you're like me, it was always like, you needed to do it, but you didn't like love taking the time to do it. There's two people in this world, people that like it and people that don't really. But this helps us that aren't great at it and it makes it so it's a streamlined process. Does that get your wheels turning on some of the possibilities? Yes. Cool. I'm glad this is like starting to unlock a little bit. Hopefully you're not thinking you're gonna go try to build this skateboard contraption, but something safer. Okay. So you can imagine this is like a pretty remarkable deal with what you could do with your career in 90 days or less in terms of like really understanding custom GPTs, knowing how to write killer prompts, give good quality context, understand the nuance that makes the difference between good and great, and then finally start having a blast with AI automations. But what I find instead, and this is totally legit because I was there too, is that we get stuck on a lot of the fears of, okay, nonprofits, they're not even going to need grant writers anymore because they can fully research and write grants themselves. So like say yes if you felt some of these thoughts or you have others I haven't called out. The AI is just a threat to the industry. Thinking, well, if I'm only here to polish what AI generates, that sounds boring. I don't want to do that. Or you just simply feel like there's an information overload and where the heck is a person supposed to start, right? So yeah, I'm seeing it's like there's some no's, which is great, which is my unicorns a lot of the times. Um, Lots of yes, all the things, not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it creates a lot of feelings, right? And I felt that too when I was witnessing what Chris was doing with his business. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like literally this chick's face. I was like, that was me. But then as we dug into it more, this is what how I've made sense of it, of where we're at today and where we're going. So the way I want you to think about future proofing your career is this: three parts. Number one, you've got to master the AI fundamentals. You got to understand how this works. So we have to master prompting. We have to master putting together great context so that you can get better results. Like game over. That's a must. Number two is daily use. And I don't care if you're not using it daily for grant writing, but like have a prompt saved in your phone for like a meal plan every Sunday that you punch in and it's like, hey, I need a meal plan for a family of 5 when we eat mostly a Mediterranean diet. Like, what is your suggestion for meal plan ideas? And after we've selected them, build me a grocery list. Like that is an amazing example of daily use. Like you wouldn't disclose to your client that you're using Google search. duh, you're using Google search. It's the same thing where it just needs to be built into your daily habits. And then this is a really big one, you guys. Part 3, let this soak in. You still have to be a great grant writer. This is the kicker. You don't know if you don't know what good grant writing is. You don't know if the work that the AI has produced for you is good or not. And that is, to me, the difference between why organizations will continue to invest in grant writers, or they're going to actually still be like, well, what the heck? We're still not winning these grants. Because you have to know what good is. You have to know what sections to fix. And I'm going to give you an example of that. This is in the course, I talk about this. But so I wrote the first draft of the small foundation grant to Rural Cap in about 15 minutes. And I knew the community needs section was weak because it was only using the context I had given it. And I hadn't actually taken the time to do data on understanding like the economic circumstances for the people in McCarthy. So I reworked that section, made it stronger. And then we sent that draft to the program officer asking for feedback, building that relationship, right? They need context too on who you are. And the micro nuggets that he gave us back was A, we got to apply for a little bit more money. 2, it just like completely changed how I presented the budget. And then just like the little things, like we like to invest in legacy projects. So I made sure the word legacy was in there, right? Like AI could not, like, I love Winnie, but Winnie could not have called the program officer and had that conversation, right? That was on us. And then I was able to integrate those changes and turn around the proposal. Does that make sense of like why? And that's like the fun, beautiful part anyway. Like I didn't have to spend all this time trying to, crank this out when I don't have the time. I need to be able to write these proposals quickly. So that is like, you guys have seen this. We intimately know what AI can and can't do. Obviously, this is going to continue to change, but I can tell you from our own tried and true sweat, blood, and tears that have been poured into learning this, don't make our same mistakes. One, AI is not well suited to develop your funding strategy. And I still, like, it can help you with some research for sure, but instrumental is still your best friend. And second, you still have to do a lot of critical thinking. You are calling the funder. You are building that relationship and asking those questions. And AI cannot do that for you. AI can't find clients or new jobs for you. We tried. It shouldn't rewrite text that you already love. Like if you're happy with it, keep it. Can't talk to a funder, can't think critically the way that you can yet. Can't assemble a grant application, and my heavens, I hope it can solve that. If anyone else has just been in like mired by trying to get your stupid docs all in an order, it feels really annoying. Or request letters of support, etc. But what AI can do is being an amazing thought partner, develop killer grant skeletons, and that means an outline, draft quality first drafts of your narratives, automate repetitive workflows that you don't like or you do them often, help you with editing, which is amazing because often like a really good editor actually makes you a better writer, and then develop deep knowledge of each nonprofit. So you can see like, this is what it can do really well, and this is what it can't do. And the can't do list is just as big as the can do list, right? So we summarized everything that we had learned in AI Bestie 1.0. I think we talked about this in October, maybe it was November, where Chris and I took everything that he had learned from building that grant consulting business, from what we built with AI Copilot, and we poured all of that into here. And we said, if you buy this, you'll tell us that you want a real course. And you did. So thank you, because you told us that you wanted us to pour our heart and soul into it. And so, holy smokes, have we. We've been spending months trying to figure out how to take all of the learnings and make AI mastery extremely easy for you so that you can go pro in 90 days or less. And I mean pro, including with automations. So I've personally never been more passionately convinced of the importance of building strong foundational skills using AI. Bless the people in the world that are like Chris, that can just go in deep and spend thousands of hours and just like get into the nitty gritty of logic models. But I'm not one of those people. And if you're not either, this is the shortcut. So we built, I don't know why I have a little arrow. Can y'all see a little green check mark? I don't know why that's on the slides now, but whatever. Anyway, so we built a brand new course. Have not ever done this before where I had something outside of the collective. So it's a 6-module course, comes with a verified certification process that can post directly to your LinkedIn certifications, which is sweet. And there is support. You get Q&A support below the videos. And if you're a member of the collective, you get a dedicated AI channel. So do we want to see it like actually inside Circle? Because I can show you if you want to. Yes, I love that Zoom's celebrating with me. Okay, yes. All right, let's go have a look. That's here. Okay, so we're inside Circle, and you guys know Circle does not make course information the prettiest, but it is nice to have it integrated with our community group and everything. Okay, so I'm gonna go continue course. I'm gonna be at start here. So this is how we organized it. We poured a lot into the course outline. So the first one is I want you to have a good win. So I want you to meet your AI besties and learn how to build your first Winnie the Writer, a custom GPT that's your writing tool. So right off the bat, you've got something to use. 2 is prompting like a pro. So you're going to learn all about, okay, what is a prompt? What's the 6-step AI prompting guide? 5 most common prompts that a grant writer needs. I think this is one of the most valuable videos. That's a hot picture of me. The 7 hottest best practices. We give you a prompt database starter pack, etc. Then we get into AI research because I do think this is one of the most helpful things for you to learn, how to actually use AI to help you with the research process. It can be very time consuming when all you want is even just to glean like a single sentence for your proposal. And all of that is in here. And then we get down into the grant prep lab, which we talked about already, which was like, how do we get grant ready? What do we need to do? Working with Penny, the project manager, who's pretty much, I'd say, ready to go for you. I don't think you need to like customize her further, but she'll be there if you want to. And then we do talk about data privacy. And then finally, module 5 is just kind of fine tuning Winnie the grant writer. Now that you know what you know, creating an editor in chief. I just drop in instrumentals videos because their product's gonna get better over time. So we'll just keep dropping it in there and see what they end up developing. How to write a foundation grant and then building a narrative skeleton for a federal grant. So all of that is in here. It is synthesized as tightly as possible so that you can get this whole thing done in 35 days is how we've built it out, where it's basically 1 module per week. So does that make sense? Kind of seeing that? Is it helpful? Make it easier to visualize? Got to catch up on chat. You guys are blowing me up. I know I'm missing so many questions, but I'll get there. Yeah, it's really exciting. We're really proud. Like we went pro. Okay. So now I need you to lock in because this is where things get, unfortunately, a little bit confusing because we've got members of the collective, not members, people that bought AI Bestie 1.0, those that didn't, right? So I need you to like pay attention to your part. Okay. Unicorns of the collective. This program after National Unicorn Day will be $1,200. But for you guys, it's $425 until Friday, April 11th. You are going to get a special discount code. It'll be emailed to you and available in Circle, so keep your eyes peeled. If you're not a member of the Global Grant Writing Collective, but you know you want to get this course, it's $960 until April 9th, which is only 2 days from now. I know, it's not long, but that's National Unicorn Day officially. We have just expanded it to a full week. I think Erica can drop in the code for that, so you've got it. Now, if you bought AI Bestie 1.0, you are the reason we built this. And so you're going to actually have a custom discount code sent by email to you that accounts for the fact that you already spent money to help build this. And we poured that into this. So I want you to know that if you did buy AI Bestie 1.0, don't use this code. Just look in your email. But what if you want to be a unicorn, a grant writing unicorn in the collective and take the AI grant writing course? So I think most of you are probably familiar with how we roll, but this is going to be like the Reader's Digest version. So when you join, you get a custom curriculum path based on what you want to do. If you're an in-house nonprofit grant writer, you don't need the freelance stuff. If you want to freelance and you've never written grants, you need something different than my existing consultant that's maybe making $50K to $100K and wants to go to $250,000 or $500,000 a year. So that's the curriculum path you unlock in onboarding. Our community is unlike anything in the world. I don't know, where are my unicorns in here? Like if you were to drop in like a word or two about it, it's absolutely unreal. Like I can't go anywhere without like their unicorns are also in real life. Like we meet up all the time. It's amazing. Thank you guys for the kind words. Love you for that. And then coaching. So we've got 6 coaches, twice monthly coaching calls, 2 certifications for funding research and grant writing. And then we also have things like Power Hour and a bunch of other meetups. I debated if I should even put this in there because the thing about the collective is there's so much more under the hood, but I don't want to overwhelm you. But just a couple things I'll call out. We have a job opportunities board. People are approaching us all the time to hire a grant writer. So when you're certified, you get access to that. Book club is fun. That's unicorn led. I will write you a letter of recommendation. If you've got a good job opportunity, I will be your referral. Like and by the way, brag moment, every single person that I have been a reference for has gotten the job. I have a 100% success rate. So we've got that. We're doing retreats, guys. We're going to do it again. We're going to actually get everybody, not just the 5% club. Next year, it'll be late April, early May. We're still hammering out the details, but we're going to actually get together in Bend, Oregon again. I think it's going to be what, like 75 or 100 of us. Like we'll go big. I already bought these very cute hot pink cowboy boots in celebration. So lots of good things coming. You can't see it all. The bottom line is that we're very obsessed with your success. Everybody on the team is. So what's the price of the collective? It's $500 per month for 12 months and then stay as long as you'd like. I like you to think of it as a 3-year program, like getting a master's degree, but you're only having to make a 1-year commitment. So our guarantee is that you can become a professionally certified grant writer in 45 days. You need 3 to 5 hours per week. We know you're busy and you've got all the tools in the world to make your money back 10x included in this program. Basically, if you commit, we will not let you fail. But because it's National Unicorn Week, it's the only time of the year I would ever do a discount, which I don't even ever want to do a discount because I don't need to, but it is 10% off forever, $450 per month for 12 months. And if you are a newbie to grant writing, the AI grant writing course could be a little bit too premature for you. So you will still get access to that price for 6 months so that if you want to just kind of get your bearings for a month or two and then take it, you'd be good. This expires at the end of National Unicorn Day, which is actually April 9th on midnight. So we've got a discount code for that as well. But this is the only time of the year that it's going to be like that. So if you are looking for independent reviews, go check out our Google reviews. I'm sure we got the link somewhere, but we've had some really awesome reviews come in lately. Thank you guys. But I think it's like they can say it better than I can. That it's really like you might come in for grant writing, you might come in for the freelancing or whatever, but you're going to leave with really a whole life transformation in terms of how you see the world, how you take care of yourself, celebrating soul care, all of that. It's just a really big experience. So if you're thinking, no way can I afford that? I want you to think about it this way. It's 1/10 the cost of an MBA program. Here's actually a quick screenshot I grabbed from Peggy, who said, before I joined, I didn't really believe this was $6,000 for a year was a bargain of a course, or that Learn Grant Writing could be charging tens of thousands for it, but now I do. And the way I think often about education, because it's always a line item in my budget, is how my mama here taught me, which was no one can take your education. Someone can take your job, but no one can take these skills. And when you build, whether it's joining the collective or taking the AI grant writing course or both, like no one's going to be able to take that from you when it's in your heart and on your mind. So if you join the collective by April 9th, we have our annual vision board workshop. I'm thinking of it this year as my annual feeling board because I want to go for kind of how I want to feel. It's a really fun activity. Everybody builds amazing workshops. So that's Friday. Hope everybody's pumped. Be premeditating what you want to put on yours because it always goes so fast. And then I did not consult anyone on my team for this, you guys. I wanted to know if we brainstorm together, blow this up in the chat, what would be a bonus that would make if you joined the collective and got the AI Bestie grant writing course that would make it a huge hell yes. I have ideas if you want to know my ideas, but I actually want to know yours first. And I will add that into this of like a raffle of a really, really cool bonus. So I want to know if you have ideas or do you want to see mine first? Coaching calls, discount to the annual workshop, coaching. Oh man, you guys, I got way more fun stuff. Okay, here's my ideas. Fly you to New York City because we're having a unicorn meetup in June. I'm going there for a wedding, plus one night in a hotel, which I'd probably just put you up in our hotel that we're staying at so we're all close and can hang out. Or a free ticket to the grant writing retreat we're having in Bend next spring. Or if you wanted to come to Alaska, I could put you up in our hangar house for 5 to 7 nights this summer. That one still has like cost on its own because I don't have a car I can lend you right now, but it would at least be like lodging would be taken care of and I can give you an agenda. So these are the 3 ideas I have. If anyone else has any other ideas or which ones you want to vote for, 1, 2, or 3, I don't know. I guess should have thought of that. 2 or 3. I know a trip to Alaska would be so fun. Take you on a flight. 2, free ticket to the grant writing retreat, New York. Oh no, how are we going to know which one wins, you guys? I guess we're going to have to look at the chat afterwards. So make your vote if you like my ideas, unless you got a new one. And yes, members of the collective, you guys can totally be in this too. Amazing. Okay, well, since we don't, I think you have to create the polls ahead of time or else we would do it that way. But Anyway, I should have thought of that.
I
Sorry, I
can
was
probably
just
do
like,
that, Meredith.
you think?
I feel like I can make a poll real quick. Yeah.
Okay, do it. Why do I keep having these stupid green checks? Do you guys see check marks all over the screen?
You must have annotate on or something because it's
It's so
probably the same
annoying.
where the red came from.
There we go. Ah, okay, I'm like, how do I get off of it? Off annotate. Ah, I swear, you would think I'd be so pro using Zoom.
There's lots of one-on-one calls being thrown out too, where you could
Okay.
meet one-on-one with Meredith or Alex or Erica, which has been thrown out one-on-one monthly.
Okay, we'll throw that out there. This sounds like a good one too. All right, well, while she
As
comes up with
Erica
that,
makes the poll, do we want to see who's registered for the vision boards on Friday?
yeah, sure. That would be great. Well, I'm gonna keep moving us through the finish line and then we'll ask questions because I know there were loads. Okay, so the bottom line is bet on yourself and we're not gonna let you fail. I mean, I got more receipts than I could possibly put on a slide deck. We'd be here for an hour if I showed you them all. But what I always like to come back to is this screenshot from Liesel, which is like, but why do we do it at the end of the day? And it's to support the causes that drive our heart, doing things that matter, making a difference, especially now when you feel like it's hard to even make a difference and things feel out of control. So when Liesel won 5 million smackaroos for money for her for an anti-poverty cause, like that is huge impact. I mean, it is just exponentially more than we can do on our own with our own just like labor and time. So really, really powerful. And I wanted to ground in that. If you've got questions about the AI grant writing course or the collective, Rose and I are actually going to open up our calendars. So I will be blitzing on calls tomorrow and Wednesday. And we're also going to have like just a group call on National Unicorn Day. So don't forget to wear your sparkles in pink. But if you've got anything that you need to ask, like that's a good time to do it, or you're welcome to email rose@info@sunworks.org. But just know that that's how, if you feel like, hey, I need to just get one more thing clarified, that's how we can do it.